Standardized tests and assessments give schools and teachers a baseline of where their students are achieving academically. In the classroom, students can show their skills in different forms and through different techniques, while a standardized test places students based off of how much they are learning and how much they understand. This can help students and teachers understand what the students clearly do understand, while also what needs to be taught and looked at more. These assessments are there to prepare students for success with a range from middle to high school to college or a career and in life. Teachers who assign these assignments are focused on developing the critical thinking, problem solving, and analytical skills that students will need in order to be successful. It also provides a way for teachers to measure students' progress through the school year and ensure that students are on the pathway to success in any of their academic careers. There are many questions that people have about assessing students in the classroom, and many wonder if it is truly effective towards learning. With research, I found the answers to these questions, which helps clears up a lot of confusion and doubt. The first question is, how can we use assessment to motivate and support students' learning? It is important as a teacher to give students feedback on their work. When teachers teach our students how to use their feedback to analyze their work, it not only gives meaning to the time and effort that was put into grading and commenting on work, but also engages the students in the learning process. It motivates students to think about what they have learned and apply the criteria to meet the learning goals in their own classroom. It encourages students to monitor their own work and take responsibility for their own learning, while also showing their progress as a learner. This has to do with the idea of self-efficacy in the classroom, which leads to motivational learning. When a student puts effort into an assignment and receives positive feedback from their teacher, they are more motivated to work hard on the next assignment and do just as well as the previous assignment. This eventually causes the students to feel more confident in the subject and want to learn more. On the other hand, by getting students involved in analyzing their mistakes on a test or assignment, it can help them to understand the next steps they need to take in order to reach their goal and motivates them to keep up with the class. Along with this, it shows them how well they are doing and how much they have learned thus far. This motivates them to want to fix their mistakes and continue to learn in order to achieve higher learning that they are clearly capable of achieving. Another question asked is, how can we use assessments to gather information and evaluate student learning? Assessments are used to measure how much students have learned up to a particular point in time in the classroom. They are used in order to see whether or not students are meeting standards set by the state, the district, or the teacher. There are many forms of assessments to track this progress. For example, summative assessments are conducted after a certain time period or unit to determine how much learning has taken place during that time. Formative assessments are used to support learning during a specific learning process. They serve as practice for students just like a meaningful homework assignment. They check for understanding along the way and guide teachers' decision-making about future instructions, which also provides feedback to students so that they can improve their performance in the classroom. End of the year standardized assignments are there in order to check if the classroom and school is meeting the district standard. The standard clearly demonstrates what students are expected to learn at each grade level, and tests whether or not each student is meeting that expectation. An example of testing in the classroom was when we handed out a formative assessment after meeting every week with our ASAP group. The assessment included questions that reviewed what was taught that day and allowed us teachers to check how much our students progressed and learned that day. If something wasn't understood, we went over it after the formative so that the students could leave with a better understanding. At the end of our ASAP program, we had questions and an open discussion on what was taught throughout the whole year and what they learned. This served as a summative assessment and helped us to understand what information they learned the best and how well they understood what we taught them throughout the year. Along with this, with the understanding of student development at different grade levels, teachers should choose assignments that fit the level of achievement in that specific grade. For younger classrooms, teachers should make assignments more intriguing and interesting, which are not as serious or hard to understand. But for older classes, teachers should try and incorporate assessments that question and challenge the students to think beyond what was taught in the class and make connections to the outside world and to their other classes. They should be able to perform usefulness by connecting the material taught in class to a career interest or to the real world. The last question is, how can we use assessments to reflect on and improve teaching? Classroom assignments and assessments help teachers to identify what they taught well and what they need to work on for their students. Once teachers receive the results from their students' assessments, they can pay special attention to the troubled spots or the spots that the criteria was missed by large numbers of students in the classroom. The assessments help to evaluate directly what teachers do in the classroom and show evidence of student learning that is linked to the teaching efforts. By using assessments to understand where the students are placed in the classroom, teachers can then set obtainable and realistic goals for their students to work towards before the next assessment, or ways that they can fix the teaching in order to make it more clear or understandable for their students. An example of teachers using feedback to better their teaching is by handing out exit slips before their students leave the classroom every day. It is a good way to gather information on where students are and where they need to be next after that class period. Hopefully this helped to explain the role of assessments in every student's learning experience. Now it is clear that assessments affect the way that students are motivated in the classroom, how their progress is evaluated, and how teachers use it to benefit their own teaching skills.